Hello, hello, hello. This is another episode of Corona Spotlight 2020. Hi, I'm your host, Gail Nicholson, metaphysicist and resilience coach. And today I am really excited about the guest that we're going to have online. This is going to be a lot of fun. It was difficult to track this lady down. She's so busy and she's, all over the place doing what she does. So let me introduce you to Miss Lori Wagner. She is a certified personal success coach, formerly with John Maxwell's group. And she's also one of our military mavens, who strong leadership ladies. And I am so grateful that you've had the chance to join me today. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So, Lori, let's start out a little bit by talking about your military background. How where did that start? How did you get in there? And what did you do? And what are you doing now?
Okay. Well, I actually joined the Air Force during the first Gulf War, right when the first Gulf War kicked off in '91.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very interesting because I joined the Air Force for the sole purpose of serving my country and wearing the uniform. I was very proud to serve. I was an 18-year-old, uh, just young adult, and I was just ready to go out there and just serve my country. And while I actually was in the law enforcement arena and did a small stint in recruiting. I did about 5 years as an Air Force enlisted recruiter as well. But total service, I served 22 years and very proudly served. I would do it all over again. And I will say that I attribute my military service to what we're going through now. It actually prepared me for this pandemic, and everything that I experienced in the military actually prepared me for what we're going through right now.
I'm going to ask you to expand on that because the immediate leap to serving in the military and a worldwide pandemic needs a little bit of explanation, I would think. You
Yes,
want
absolutely.
to?
Well, here's the thing. I deployed, had several deployments under my belt, and during those deployments, for those of us that have served, downrange and been in a combat situation, when you're forward deployed and you're in a location.
Lori, unfortunately, I think you froze. Let's hopefully this will come back in just a second. And while we're waiting for that, it looks like maybe Lori's call dropped. So we're going to continue to discuss a little bit about what she sent to me. Um, if you want to reach out to Lori herself, her phone number is 443-677-8198. And she is taking personal clients for coaching. Let's see. There we go. So when Lori gets back into here, we will definitely welcome her back in. And um, in the meantime, you can check out her Instagram at Coach Lori Wagner. You can also check out her dealings with the John Maxwell Group at johnmaxwellgroup.com/Lori Wagner. And you can also check out her website at coachloriwagner.org. Now, I'm interested to find out how Lori, as a coach, got a .org um, tag on her internet website address. Because generally you have to be in 501c3 nonprofit or some sort of charitable organization to be able to get that. So I'm interested to hear the story behind how that happens. Let's see if we've got Lori back yet. Not yet. Coach Lori, if you can, please try to pop it back in for us again. Thank you so much. All right. So let's see. Lori, I met Lori through seminar that Dr. Rob Garcia did with her, all about fear. And as much as I felt like at the time that the workshop didn't really, it didn't deliver what I thought it was going to deliver. That's not to say that it didn't deliver way more than I ever expected to deliver after the fact. And that's one of the reasons why I reached out to, hey Tammy, thanks for joining us. That's one of the reasons why I reached out to have Lori on our show, was to, talk a little bit about how the later impact of that. I see we have a number of watchers, listeners online. Thank you so much for joining us. Please pop into the chat box, if you will, and let us know where you're from, and what your name is, and give us a little bit of an idea if you've ever served in the military or not. All right? Awesome. We have Tammy Moses, that was a guest on my show last week, I think it was. Definitely a great guest, the hoarding solution guest. So awesome. Lori is back with us. That's wonderful. How are things going over there, Lori?
I am so sorry. I think they've got a neighbor just moved in, and I think they're working on like the internet. I've seen the TV folks out there. I don't know what's going on. I apologize about that there.
Well, I'm glad you were able to get back on with us. Go blow their hair back later. Say, I'm doing something here. Awesome. Oh, Tammy says that Lori is great about mindset. Yes, you are, aren't you?
Yes. You do go with the flow. It is what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, well, while you were gone, I was talking a little bit about the program through which we met that you did with Rob Garcia and
yes.
I was a participant in it, and during the time of it, I didn't feel like I got what I expected to get out of it, right? It was like, this wasn't what it was kind of what I thought, but I didn't get what I thought I was going to get out of it. And then a couple of weeks later, it's like, wow, Gail, you're behaving a lot differently now. I wonder if that stuff just kind of like settled in. So you want to tell us a little bit, before we get into the stuff that you're actually here for today, tell us a little bit about that program, that fear program, and what you and Rob were out to create with it.
Well, Rob Garcia and I were actually out to create and help business owners, entrepreneurs get over the fear of, just putting themselves out there in a big way with their business, and really just rising up, becoming leaders, in their own business, and just serving other people. And I think a lot of people are held back by various fears for, whatever reason. And our goal, purpose, and our sole purpose was to help entrepreneurs get over some of those fears and really just kind of serve in a bigger way.
Well, I have to say that you nailed it. You nailed it, because since this coronavirus lockdown has started, I have been on the internet doing a video 6 days a week. It's almost 3 weeks now. And I've been, showing up to serve in a bigger way. Whereas I couldn't talk myself into getting on a Facebook Live 3 consistent days a week before that. Right. So what you guys set out to deliver is definitely what landed, regardless of what I thought was going on, right?
Awesome.
So thank you for that. All right, let's talk a little bit about what you came to talk to us about today, and that is maintaining your mental, physical, and financial health during the time, this coronavirus quarantine, where we are more inclined to sit on our tushes, binge Netflix, hand-to-mouth junk food, and, not bother to take, the time that it takes, or the initiative that it takes to burn off a few of those snacks. So what have you got to tell us today?
Well, first, let me start with mindset, because it all boils down to how we perceive things. And while we don't always have control over our thoughts, we're subject to, thousands of thoughts per day. While we don't always have control over our thoughts, we do have control over the words that we use, the words that we choose, and what we choose to say to ourselves. Here, with this pandemic that we have going on, we can choose how we perceive something. We can choose whether we turn on, the news. We can choose whether we, say, I'm going to stay stuck in this mode that I'm in, or I'm going to choose to do something different. And that's the first thing that I want to, encourage people, is that you do have a choice. You have a choice on how you perceive it. You have a choice on what the words that come out of your mouth. And I challenge everybody, take the next 30 days and, try not to complain, try not to whine, try not to, overanalyze what's going on. Because at the end of the day, we don't have any control over that. And we don't have any control over what's going on in our outside forces, but we do have control over how we perceive it and what we say.
Yes, absolutely correct. Um, the next 30 days not complaining is probably going to be an impossible challenge for a lot of us, especially those of us that are
Absolutely.
stuck at home with people of other political beliefs and outlooks.
Right.
There's a
Absolutely.
lot going on out there that we have to maintain, control of our mindset about. But I wanted to back up just a second and highlight what you said about perception. We choose how to perceive such a thing. As what's happening right now, there are so many people that were working outside of the home, and now it feels like a vacation, only it's not a vacation at all. It's just being locked in your house kind of thing. But there's this, how do I want to put it? A laziness of perception. Like, you perceive that you don't have work to do, so what there is to lay around, watch TV, and be lazy, right? Whereas, for some reason, as soon as this lockdown started, for me, I became busier than I ever was before the lockdown in pretty much any job that I've done. What do you attribute that kind of antithesis to what the normal way of reacting to this is?
I think part of that has to do with our paradigms and our belief system. And for some people, it triggered something in their brain that said, you know what, I've got to go into work mode, or I've got to go into, keeping myself busy, or I've got to go into accomplish mode. So I think it really just boils down to our belief systems and the things that we've been programming. We all have programming, and it all comes from the way we were raised. Could be our parents, our grandparents, society, whatever. So we all have a belief system. So I really attribute all of that to our belief system and our paradigms and how we see that and what was conditioned for us.
Gotcha. And that makes sense, I'd have to say, because when things get bad, I get to work. That was drilled into me growing up. When we don't have time to whine about it, we don't have time to cry about it. Get off your butt and make a difference. This is the time to do that,
Absolutely.
right? Whereas other people grow up a different way. That makes a whole lot of sense. So the next step beyond mindset, what's the next step?
Well, the next step is, besides the mindset, is really just focus on, small increments. And I think Rob and I talked about this in our training that we did, was focusing on small increments. Focus on, every 30 minutes, kind of focusing it that way, as opposed to, I've got this whole 24-hour period. What am I going to do? Am I going to binge watch, the latest series on Netflix? Am I just going to sit around and just kind of twiddle my thumbs? Like, what am I going to do? So take it in smaller increments. Okay, this 30 minutes, maybe I'm going to just get up and I'm going to walk around my house. Maybe we don't have the option of going outside, but we really need to get our body moving. We need to get our lymphatic system moving. And that's really, really important, because if we just sit stagnant, that's not healthy for our body. and we really need to just get moving. So even just getting up and walking around your house, if you have stairs in your home, maybe walking up and down the stairs.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really great bit of advice. I was on Facebook earlier today and I saw somebody had posted something along the lines of, is anybody else having trouble sleeping? Right? And that little bit of advice that you just gave, I think, is the answer to that, because I found for myself that if I don't put out enough activity during the day, my body hasn't exhausted itself, I guess. And it's harder for me to sleep and stay sleeping. Does that make sense to you?
No, that makes perfect sense. And you're absolutely right. If you're used to being active, even if it's just walking, walking the dog, or just, getting out and doing some yoga, or, whatever you're used to doing, and now it just came to a screeching halt, your body doesn't know how to burn off that energy. And everybody is designed differently. But if you're used to burning off a certain amount of energy and now it came to a screeching halt, it's really important that we maintain some sort of normalcy, if you will. And that's why I really encourage people. I mean, if it's raining outside, do some floor exercises, even doing some squats or chair yoga. I mean, there's a ton of things out there that we can look at. YouTube is a great source, where you can look up some of those things that it's available to you for free. And a lot of gyms are offering, online, classes and various things of that nature.
Well, yeah, we had Joanne Barry on the show last week or the week before, and she's doing private, online leading dance classes and exercise classes that in a private Zoom room that you can pay for, $20 a class or whatever, and log in at a particular time and, have your dance exercise class or your stretching exercise class just like you would if you were in person or doing Beachbody online or whatever, but with somebody who can actually also see you and correct you if your posture is wrong. So yeah,
absolutely.
And I think that we're going to have another Ulysses trainer on next week as well. So yeah, there's a lot of personal trainers out there that do a class, do a $20 class a day. And make sure that you're burning those calories for one thing, but also getting that activity that lets your body want to sleep. So
absolutely.
What else? What else would you say as far as staying healthy?
Well, I would go back to this is a time and a period where, again, we have a choice, and it all starts in our mind. And I would encourage people to, there's three things that I would encourage you to do with staying healthy, in terms of just everything in general. Is number one, cut out the news. I'm very disappointed in our news, media, and not naming anyone in particular, but the news, their whole purpose is to instill fear, hopelessness, just it's the end of the world. And then secondly is just double down on your studies, double down on your personal development. If there's a podcast that maybe you said in the past, I don't have time to listen to this podcast. Now is the perfect time to, jump on those podcasts, get a good book, a leadership book, or some personal development book. Now's the time to double down on those studies and really just kind of focus. And when we come out of this, you'll be much better prepared to handle some of those things. And then the last thing is, just really just reach out to serve people. I think it's really important, even just for your own mental health, your own well-being, and your own healthy mindset, is to reach out to friends and family. I mean, we have all of this amazing technology like Zoom, Facebook, FaceTime, and all these different things where we can jump on. And while we may not be able to be physically there with them, we can jump on things like this and really connect. So I think it's really important that we maintain our mental health through this as well, and connect with our family and friends and just reach out and let them know, hey, I care about you. I'm thinking about you. What can I do to serve you today? And I think, getting out of our own mind and reaching out and how we can serve somebody else will actually be very beneficial overall for overall healthy, mindset and so forth.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent advice. Yeah, I was going to say, I actually started an online hump day happy hour on Wednesday this week.
I
That
love it.
isn't it great? Let's see, 3 or 4 people shared the evening with me. 2 of them drank, 2 of them didn't drink. So it's it's really cool that way because nobody's going to be pressuring anybody into pouring themselves a drink in their own home, kind of thing.
Right.
And we just had a really great time. We had a lot of fun. Tess Vergara was on there with me, and one of Bill's friends from high school, Kelly, popped in, and Joanne. So yeah, it makes a huge difference for you to connect with somebody, even if you can't touch them, even if you can't hug them. But to see their smiling faces and hear their voice and laugh about things together, God, that makes all the difference in the world, especially when you're kind of, can be locked up with people that you love them, but you don't always like them.
Absolutely. I feel you there on that one.
Awesome. All right, so now, how can you use this time above and beyond what you just talked about, like your training and listening to good podcasts and filling the educational part that needs to be filled, right? What else can you do to prepare or even step into right now becoming a leader so that when this is over, you're a leader in the new world?
Well, I think we all have some sort of skill set. We all have something that we can bring to, our communities, and society in general. And I think it's really just focusing on, what skills do I have? I mean, I know Rob Garcia has a phenomenal program that he's working on right now that's very, very reasonable, that folks can kind of tap into that and maybe get some ideas that can help launch them, and help them financially when it comes to creating some sort of other income. I know a lot of people have, lost their income, and maybe, the household, maybe one income or maybe both incomes have been lost. And so now's an opportunity to really kind of, maybe shift our mindset on, are there other ways to generate income? I mean, people are still doing business online, and that doesn't stop. I mean, money is just energy that has to circulate.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important that we look at maybe some of those areas as well, from a financial standpoint, so that when we do come out of this, we emerge, in a much better place.
Excellent thoughts. Oh, geez. So, how are you handling it personally, this quarantine?
Well, like I mentioned in the beginning of the interview that we started here, is that, my entire career has prepared me for this. And, being downrange and being in a combat situation, and really having to, mentally get myself into a mental space, really prepared me for this. And like I said, for me, it's a little bit different. Maybe not everybody looks at it from this perspective, but Dr. Anderson, who's one of the doctors that I follow, he has a book called Habits of Health, and it's a phenomenal book. And one of the things that he recommends is to stop, challenge, and choose. So when you feel yourself maybe getting anxious, or maybe you're not really sure which direction, or maybe you're going to stuff that, third donut into your mouth, and that's not really very healthy for you. Stop and say, why am I doing this? What's causing me to react in this way?
Mm-hmm.
Challenge it and say, what can I do different? And then choose a different outcome. So I think that, with Dr. Anderson, the stop, challenge, choose, I think, is a phenomenal way to really look at everything, whether it be your mindset, what you're eating, exercise, all of those things. So the next time you want to go plop down in front of Netflix, say, why am I doing this? Can I choose something different? And maybe go, like I said, walk around the house, or maybe take the dog for a walk if that's a possibility for you.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like an excellent way to remind yourself to be conscious about whatever it is that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Excellent, excellent. So tell me a little bit about this free health assessment that you're offering our listeners today. What exactly can they expect when they reach out to call you and schedule that?
Well, basically, as part of my optimal health program, that is all encompassing my coaching program, when individuals reach out to me, what we do is we go through a series of questions that will help identify a program that maybe they can get on, some healthy eating habits, some healthy tips. And again, it's all individualized for each person, depending on if they have underlying health conditions, things of that nature. So I definitely want to be able to offer that to them and offer some free advice as far as healthy mindset. Maybe some eating tips and things of that nature. I think that in this season that we're in, it is absolutely critical that we maintain our health, we boost our immune system, and we're ensuring that, if for some reason we do contract the coronavirus, which I pray that nobody does, and we know that a lot of people have, but that you have a better chance of coming out of it and recovering as opposed to, falling very ill.
Yes, and I agree and support and align my thoughts with yours that no further people come down with this, and the ones that do survive it well.
Absolutely.
I was reading something earlier this morning along those lines. I'll just mention that this before we move on. Somebody's looking at the possibility that it's not so much a respiratory disease, but it's a blood disease that keeps the cells from carrying oxygen. And that's like a different way of looking at it. It's like, interesting. So they're still studying, they're still looking into what's the best ways to battle this. So while we're waiting for the scientists to do their jobs, the best we can do is keep a positive mindset, keep our healthy mindset to a maximum, keep our junk intake, whether it be food or education, to a minimum.
Absolutely.
And do you have any other final words for our listeners before we head off into the weekend?
I would just say that I know this is a very challenging time for a lot of people, and it's challenging for everybody. But I think that if you have the right resources to reach out to, if you're experiencing anxiety, depression, you're just kind of not in your right mindset, or any of that, reach out to somebody. I mean, I think that is absolutely critical. Don't allow yourself to fall into, that black hole where you think I can't get out of this, because there's so many people out there. I mean, yourself included, Gail, and a ton of other people that, that folks can reach out to and just say, hey, I just need a listening ear. I just need somebody to listen. I just need to get this off of my mind. And I think that is absolutely critical in the season that we're in right now.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you so much for joining me today, Lori. This has been a wonderful conversation. I'm very, very grateful to you for being my guest. And blessings in everything that you do, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. When you open yourself up to actual energy work, makes that recovery progress so much faster. That recovery is possible. You do not have to live as